Hi guys, I'm Alexi, I'm from the Illusions Alliance, and today I'm here to give Dan and EvECoPilot a tutorial on missiles.
Yes, you certainly are. I'll admit, guys, missiles, Caldari, definitely not my strong point. So what I don't want to do is go feeding you guys any false information. So I brought the Corporation Caldari along to to give us a little bit of a rundown for those of you that are looking to head into the Caldari side of things. So yeah, how you doing, Ross? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Nice to see the Alliance filling up, sweet.
Yeah, getting a lot of new members, aren't we? You newbies are flooding in like there's no tomorrow. So missiles.
Don't you just
Why?
love them?
No, I hate them.
But why do you hate them?
I don't know. Lasers are for the win, I guess. I don't know. I suppose
What's that, because
that's
they look pretty?
they're pretty lasers. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I guess really, I guess the first question for you, Ross, is what advantages do missiles have over the turret-based races?
In my opinion, I mean this is my personal opinion. The first big thing is that they're a lot easier to use, so if you're not into calculating distance and all that malarkey for your damage types, then any type of the missiles is going to be a winner for you, because you haven't got to worry about your range and what damage you're going to do at that range.
Okay, so obviously with the turrets, you're doing a lot of you need to adjust ammo to optimals, things like that. Missiles will either hit to a certain range or just miss, will they?
The missiles will have what they have an explosion velocity, which basically means if a ship's still, you'll hit it at full impact. The smaller the ship, the more impact that will go. That will decrease, so you do less damage, and it decrease even further if that ship's moving. Now, the bigger ship, obviously, you're going to hit it for even more damage. But again, if that ship's moving, you know you're going to hit it, but not as good as if it was standing still. Pretty much like your tracking speed for turrets.
Okay, and so
Um,
as the missile explodes, I suppose a portion of that, the bigger the ship, the more of that explosion is going to hit.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, but then and if it's moving, then it's going to fly out of some of the explosion, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using missiles, and for example, any of you guys encountered an interceptor, and they can move at a rapid pace. I know, Puppy, you can fly an
I
interceptor.
certainly can.
And if I was lobbing torps or missiles at you, it's going to do a little bit of damage, but nothing to worry you at all. It's going to do very minimal damage, because you're going to just disappear out the blast radius. You're just going to be gone.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I mean, I know that when I orbit in my interceptor, I mean, sometimes the missiles just chase me around forever. They don't actually ever
I
hit me.
believe, I believe we done that in a tutorial. Actually, I think it was two that the last two that we done. I think I was trying to fire missiles at you, and you just outrunning them. And they were chasing around in little circles.
Yes. So, yeah, obviously with the turrets, we can sort of adjust our ammunition to adjust the range that we fire at. What sort of range do you have available to you with missiles?
I just want to, rather than going on to the range there, I just want to say that we briefly touched there on, you adjust your ammunition for the range
Hmm.
that you want to do. The missiles are completely different, in as much as you have a certain specific type of launcher, depending on how far you want to launch, and those launchers can only be fitted to certain types of vessel.
Right.
Um, in addition to that, what you do have, the advantage again over turrets, is that you can have, basically you've got four types of missile that give you the four types of damage, so you can actually pick and choose the type of damage you specifically want to deal.
I see, and that's why the missiles are so useful in the missions, because you can pick the damage you want to deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going up in a mission and you know what you're going to come across, then you can say, right, I want to fire EM. So there you are. You load uh, your EM torps or cruises or light missiles, whatever, and you can do a lot better damage than if you was restricted at what damage type you was dealing.
I see. So obviously, yeah. I mean, being an Amar, all my guns will fire EM and thermal, and everyone knows that. Everyone whereas you can just change that up and shoot whatever you want. I'll give you that. That's an advantage.
Which means obviously then you can do the specific damage. You know, you've got that edge there that you know that you can, you know, exactly that you can decide what damage you want to do, and obviously depending on what ships are tanked for, you could actually completely fail if you know that a Mire weak to EM firm.
So I mean, if we take a look at, I mean, my resistances at the moment, what have I got? I'm actually quite even, but can you, what ammo have you got loaded at the moment?
I've got EM. I've got my Paradise cruise missiles,
Okay,
which are for longer range because they're cruises.
Okay, so my shield has virtually no EM resistances. So can you throw a volley of those at my shields for me? Just
yeah, I'll throw a volley. You're stationary at the moment, correct?
Yes. So if you just throw a set of those off, right, so what did that do? 3,000. So can you change to explosive, which I have a 68% resistances on?
I would do, but I'm really foul and haven't got any with me. I just bought EM because I knew I could pummel your ass with them.
How about kinetic? Have you got them?
No, I've only got EM fitted.
Okay. Right, well what we can do then, if we put me on the move...
Yeah, you on the move will make a difference.
Okay, so that was...
almost straight away as well.
So that was 3,100 you hit me for then. So that's 3,100 again.
Yeah, you're flying directly away though, so you're not gaining any distance.
Okay, so if I take a corner there, okay, so that's immediately dropped. What, 700 damage off there? But
now I'm into your armor, which is where your tank is.
Yeah, so that test is about done for its. Yeah, there you go. Not so pretty for that.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. No. So, in short, if you're getting shot by missiles, I guess you'd want to just constantly be making sure. I mean, to be honest, any time you're being shot, you want to be on the move. But the missiles seem to be particularly susceptible to that. So touching back onto this range, you know, obviously, I genuinely don't understand how would I, you know, as a new player, and you know, say I'm in a frigate, you know, throwing the missiles out. What sort of range would be available to me as a new player with the missiles?
With a new player, the first thing you're going to be using the rocket launchers on your frigs. You're not going to be able to fit anything bigger at the very beginning than rockets, and you're probably looking at the best part of about 6 kilometers or 6,000 meters.
Okay, so compared to the others,
where you'll be firing at.
Yeah, compared to the other frigates, you know, from our race, we're not really looking much past that anyway. So how do you go about extending your range then? I mean, do you have to go up the ships or?
No, you can fit light missiles to your frigs. You may have to train up your missile launcher operation, a bit of electronics, and a bit of energy management to get your power grid up as well. That's so you can cram everything you want. I mean, it's depending if you're going to be PvP fit or if you're going to be mission fit, but generally speaking, you can fit the missile launchers on, and you know, you're probably looking at the best part of about, you know, you take that jump from about 6 kilometers up to about 20.
Oh, so that's yeah. So it's very similar to, you know, beam lasers cost more power grid than pulse lasers, sort of deal. Okay, brilliant. And what's the sort of, I mean, when you get sort of a little bit later on into the game, I mean, you're flying your Navy Raven there, which is, what's that? It's a Caldari battleship, isn't it? So what's the sort of range you can, what range can you achieve from that?
At the moment, I've got from this, I've got about 84 kilometers range. That at the moment is my max targeting range because I've not trained a lot of my electronics. So you want to get your targeting range up, but I mean, it all depends again how you fit. But you can generally hit for about 100 kilometers with the right skills trained, with the cruises.
And obviously with us, with our optimal ranges, we need to be we want to be very accurate about the distance that we're at from our target, so that we then hit for the most damage. How does it work with the missiles there?
All you've got to do, I mean, the distance does not affect it. The only thing that it affects, yeah, believe it or not, the only thing that's affected is your skills, because you've got the max flight speed, which is basically how many meters per second that missile will travel, and how long its flight time is. So, for example, generally speaking, you've got, if you take the step in between, so like battle cruiser size, you'd have the heavy missiles. They do about 3.5 to nearly 4 kilometers a second, and their flight times are 10 seconds. So they can hit for about 40k.
Okay, so I mean, if you hit me in the face here, or I was 50k away, you're still just going to hit for the same damage.
If you're moving, yeah, irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant.
You just press fire and you're done. Brilliant.
You just spray and pray, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, brilliant. Well, I think, to be honest, this is only a sort of starter tutorial, so I don't think we'll go into much more detail than that. I think, to be honest, there really isn't as much to go into because they are so simple, like you say.
Yeah, they are very easy to use. You can generally say, oh look, these, the cruises are going to do 3,000 meters a second. They're going to flight time 20 seconds, so that's 60 kilometers. That's base. You can obviously double that. I mean, for example, POSOPs, you can sit there with add-on modules. You can sit there at 250k. So I mean, the damage from wherever you're sitting is always the same, depending on that ship, how big that ship is, and how fast it's moving.
Yeah, I mean, when we destroy sort of some of the larger targets, I will say it's one of the, when we're doing the station ops, things like, you guys do put out a huge amount of damage. But would you agree with me that sort of in PvP, for the most part, because you've got that ease of use and just the simplicity of it all, I mean, from what we understand, sort of in PvP, the Caldari does seem to be quite a low damage. Now, is that me missing something, or is that just generally for your troubles you get the extra DPS?
For the troubles, you've got issues with reloading times, which is a biggie with Amar, and I think Galante. I'm not too sure about.
It's just the Amar that don't. Amar, we instant reload as Amar with the crystals.
Yeah, whereas the Caldari got a 10-second reload time, and
okay,
I don't know about the rate of fire.
Okay, so you do get that delay, I suppose, where we're continuing to. I mean, I've won fights because the Caldari's had to reload, and we've both been in structure, and I'm like, whew.
That's all it takes, is that 10 seconds is the difference between life or death. And sometimes it could work in your favour, and other times you could be sitting in your pod just floating.
I prefer it if the Caldari are sitting in their pods.
I'm sure you do.
Okay then, mate. Well, I think that's a nice basic rundown. I think we'll leave it there. Anything before we sign out?
Join Illusions. We're good at having fun.
Yes, definitely come and join Illusions. And just so you guys know, Illusions is the corporation that EvECoPilot's using for their recruiting at the moment. So it is open recruiting. So if you are a new player and you're looking to get into a player corp, then yeah, watch some of our other videos. You'll see our update video. I'll explain about the Illusions public channel. And yeah, come and say hello to us. And I guess for now, I'll thank you for your time. I'll also thank Ryan, who's been floating around in his Megatron, probably quite bored. And yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much, Ross.
No problem. Take care. See you all soon.